Hey guys, welcome to a new video of BitConnect. Today we'll have an interesting talk with Delta Trader. Welcome Delta, how are you today?
I am good. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. Volatile Friday. Um, yeah, we were just talking and we saw this amazing action going on the lower time frame. Just some ETF news, I believe it was, and we saw crazy volumes. I saw almost 250 million of volume being done on Bybit, on the BTC USD pair, and that is like something I've never seen before. I believe in a 5-minute candle, it's going completely ham right now. Um, yeah. Anyway, that is going on right now. Um, Delta, can you tell a little bit about yourself and how you got into um, trading? Basically, what did you do before, or did you have a life before this?
Did I have a life? Yeah. Long story short, I used to actually be an accountant. That was my major in back in college.
Mm-hmm.
Um, got into trading, I would say roughly early, due to one of my good friends who, back in high school, he was trading. It was like he was 14 and he was already trading.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Granted, he was only trading like sub penny stocks, things of that nature. But
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the day, it was something that interested me, and especially as a young kid, I believe I was like around 7 or 8 years old. In one of my math courses, back when in middle school, uh, they allowed me and a few, and they'd create teams within our classroom, to compete against other groups statewide, within this simulated type stock market, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
competition. So I would say like that's where my interest kind of started, grew from. Being able to pick up a newspaper as a 7-year old and kind of just like learn about stocks and kind of just see how they move. Try to fundamentally understand companies. It was pretty cool. You
Mm-hmm.
would think as a 7-year old or a 8-year old you wouldn't really be doing that, but um, yeah, it was great stuff. But I would say that's where it kind of grew from. My I guess curiosity, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started working as a college student, and with all that money, I was just basically getting into equities trading. Just long, short. Small positions of shares of stock, mostly just longing and holding
Mm-hmm.
for long durations of time. That was my primary strategy.
Mm-hmm.
And then as time grew, my my passion grew, and my yearning for more knowledge and more experience just grew. So started learning more. Had to teach all myself about almost everything. They don't really teach you much about trading in college. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I learned about derivatives like futures and options, and kind of just started incorporating that into my trading, and started definitely increasing my frequency of trading for sure.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, interesting, interesting. And then you were done with your school, let's say, and then what?
Yeah,
Like.
so coincidentally, like I would say like around maybe my junior year in college,
Mm-hmm.
or my sophomore, one of my good friends introduced me to crypto.
Mm-hmm.
That was like my first touch of crypto. He showed me BTC, and I always knew about it as a kid. I would say like 13 years old, I knew about BTC. Just never really touched it.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't really understand it that much, but I sat down a few years later and to really try to understand it, and I really loved it. I saw a lot of growth potential in that,
Mm-hmm.
alongside ETH, specifically ETH though.
Mm-hmm.
ETH, when I got it, when I
Mm-hmm.
first bought it, it was around like $11. So it was it was for me, it was like a crazy like time shift, because the moment I got in, which was late 2016, early 2017,
Oh, early.
it
Yeah.
just took off, and my
Yeah.
life kind of changed from that point on. I kind of started focusing on trading and not school, which was
Mm-hmm.
very peculiar to me.
Yeah.
It wasn't something that I would normally do.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't say like I'm a books kind of person, but at the same time, I'm gonna make sure like I finish that. I did have a lot of. I saw it. There was value to it. Especially
Mm-hmm.
as me being an accountant. I had to finish. I had to get my CPA license, things of that nature. But as time passed and as crypto started to boom, the less time I started spending on focusing on school. So it was great, and at the same time, I actually started throwing more money into crypto, and from my equities account. So that's how that went. And it's just been a great time ever since then.
Yeah, yeah. And you got into at one point like a prop trader. Have you?
Yeah. So a little bit after 2018, thankfully I cashed out profits and started to really. I already left my accounting position. I was already pretty well off where I kind of just wanted to take some time and focus on trading. And one of my colleagues and one of my good friends now approached me, letting me know that he's going to be part of this. He wants to start up a firm. He wants to start up a desk, and he wanted to see if I was interested. And I saw it as a great opportunity to learn from others and grow as a trader. So I said for sure. So that's how I started up in this brand new startup firm back in 2018. Initially it was a prop shop, like a prop desk, and slowly grew out into a institutional market making desk. Providing actionable quotes for any counterparty that we had. Um, and yeah, it was that was a lot of fun too. Uh, I would say that maybe I didn't come into the prop trading world as most normal people do. I think I was blessed to have the right people around me, to bring me in. But ever since then, my life kind of changed, and the way that I view the market and flow in general.
So what is colleague wise, what is a normal background for somebody who becomes a prop trader from your
Um,
perspective, or what you've seen in real life, or?
sure. I am so for I guess like from a legacy standpoint, what I've noticed it's that it tends to be a finance major type person that picks up a position or job role in some big firm, maybe dealing with just being starting out as like a trade support analyst or some sort of analyst. I think that's how it usually starts out, especially like risk analysts or settlement analysts, things of that nature, just helping out clearing and confirming and settling trades, things of that nature. I think that's where most people start off. I wouldn't say that there's like a right way to start.
Yeah,
I think at
yeah.
the end of the day, if you can prove to somebody that you have the potential and the willpower to push yourself, I think that's what people just really look for. That's what
Yeah,
I would look for,
yeah.
especially if I wanted to start my own desk. I really wouldn't have certain criteria, uh, you know, based on someone's background. I would want to see who they are at that moment, right, and what they're doing at that time. Um, I think that's the best way to define someone, at least from their actions, their present actions. But yeah, so necessarily, I wouldn't be able to. It's kind of hard to give like a template type structure for
Yeah,
a prop
sure.
trader,
Yeah, yeah.
but definitely just as much screen time as possible. I think that also helps. I
Yeah.
think that's a beautiful wow. Market's just tanking, but yeah,
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah. I mean, I'm
I gotta
watching it
close
as
the
well.
chart. Let me
And
just not
sure.
have a chart open. Sorry.
Oh, I'm having it open, and the viewers will watch this as well. And I just have aggregated on like or agger, and
Got it.
yeah, it's a complete show, and we'll take a look at the premiums right now. They're up $170. It's going wild. It's being
It
denied a
is.
little bit with really high premiums. Not looking too hot, if you ask me.
Yeah, agreed.
I do feel a little pain, because this would be a perfect way to sell. Like I'm not sure if you see my tweet, but like basically half an hour ago or an hour ago now, I dumped my position, my longs.
Yeah, it happens.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
happens.
well, yeah. Now, I mean, the thing is like, let me see a quick look at open interest here on the 5 minute. Oh, interesting. Yeah. So sorry, I lost track a little bit. I was watching the market.
No
Um,
worries.
so how do things go in a prop shop, or how did you act in a prop shop? What is your edge, or how do you trade in a prop shop? What is your method you use for spotting a trade, or are you like a trend follower, or how do you set up a trade? What is for you important to, I don't know, dive in, let's say.
Sure, sure. I guess first and foremost, something that is kind of overlooked, but
Mm-hmm.
is extremely valuable. I think, when you first sit down at the desk, any desk, your desk at
Mm-hmm.
home or at a prop desk, I think the first thing that you need to be, or you need to have is, a great mental mind state.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's very overlooked. And I know it's not really that important to many people, but I think, you know, for me at least, in this last few months, I've recognized how important it is to be mentally prepared and mentally ready for things to go the opposite way as to what you planned, because I feel like most disasters when it comes to trading usually happens when you think you're right. You've already been stopped out a few times, and I think that at that point is when disasters begin to happen. And if
Mm-hmm.
you don't recognize that a disaster can happen, then
Mm-hmm.
that's how you blow up your account, or
Yeah.
you have a really big losing day. So
Mm-hmm.
um, I guess that's why I would stress that for me, at least personally, I think the most important thing is just to be mentally prepared for
Mm-hmm.
anything.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a lot, you can't just wake up out of bed. I mean, if you're going to be scalping, right, or if you're going to be intraday trading, I don't think the best way to do it is just wake up out of bed and just hit it instantly. I
Yeah.
think you have to wake up, give yourself enough time to kind of really wake up and just be ready for the market. I think that, to me, again, might be overlooked by others, but I think that's the most important thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I'd say regarding
Uh, just a small
edge,
interruption.
or
Is it,
yeah,
if you work on a prop shop or anything, if you say like, well, I don't see an opportunity for a day or a week, is that kind of allowed, or are they like, yeah, but Delta, you got to do something, you know?
yeah.
Um,
So I mean, so at the prop shop that I initially worked at, um, they didn't really push the trader because they themselves were traders. My risk manager and the head of strategy, they're both great traders back in legacy markets. They understood that if you have a certain way to trade and it pays, then
mm-hmm.
they should not bother you.
Mm-hmm.
They will let you do what you need to do. If
Mm-hmm.
it if you hit crazy trades, once a week or once a month, but they always pay, then they'll let you do what you got to do. They'll respect it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Everyone trades differently. They didn't really tell me to trade a certain way. It just really depends.
Mm-hmm.
And again, like back in the day, when we first started up, we started up, as a strictly just a prop desk, and we were kind of just gathering strategies and things of that nature. So
Yeah.
we were all, we tested, the waters in a lot of things, just both intraday, long term, delta neutral type trades.
Mm-hmm.
It was great. I actually miss that desk a lot, but as time goes by, I recognize that you know you're only meant to just grow and go to bigger and better things. So I'm happy to say that
Yeah.
that's what's happening in my life right now.
That's good. That's good. Um, so do they provide you with special tools or something, or is it like, yeah, I want to have a certain tool or a certain indicator, or let's say, do
Yes.
they? Yeah.
So, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say that they're special in a sense that it's unattainable by anyone else. I would rather say that they provide you with information and tools that most people can't just simply get their hands on.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say like it's a little bit, it's not really exclusive. I don't want to like, hype it up because it's really nothing crazy, right?
No, no,
But,
no.
just getting information to other OTC quotes and other, I guess, algo management execution systems. I guess that is the tools that they would provide, or that
Mm-hmm.
they showed me. Um, and I would say that the one thing that stuck with me a lot was the OTC quotes. I just I don't think that it's something exclusive. I think it's just,
No,
you just
but
have to.
you talked about OTC quotes before, and um, is it like I'm always looking at premiums, of spot over perps or sorry, perps over spot or
Mhm.
discounts, and then it's like basically spot over perps, is it something like that? You see a premium on OTC quotes, and you're like, oh, big buyers or something, or like what is it? Like
Yeah,
how do you
so
watch it? Like how do you
yeah,
view
sure.
it?
I'll leak a little bit. I mean, it's nothing crazy. It really isn't because you kind of if normal people had access to these quotes, I'm fairly certain you would know what to do with them.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, long story short, really, you kind of nailed it. You hit the nail. The ham. What is it? You hit the
The
nail on the
hammer on the
hammer.
nail.
Hammer on the nail. Hammer on the nail. Sorry, I'm a little half
We all
asleep right
are.
now.
It's
No,
Friday.
you hit it perfectly. You're just looking for premiums, and you're primarily just looking for market color. That's the best way I could describe it.
Mm-hmm.
Firms, especially OTC desks, when they have big orders, they're looking
Mm-hmm.
to primarily shop out their order or
Mm-hmm.
chop it up, and see if there's any demand across any other desk. So you know, a beautiful thing that they would do is, literally just reach out to us and say, hey, listen, we're looking to shop X amount of BTC. Um, let me know if you're interested. So
Mm-hmm.
it's almost like as if I'm getting, an idea as to what flow looks like.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but that's more on a personal level, like when they would reach out. I guess specifically just looking at quotes, I would primarily say the way that they're positioning their quotes is basically how they're positioned. That's the way
Mm-hmm.
I like to mentally think about it.
Mm-hmm.
So if the market makers on X desk, right, is a little bit wider on the ask, but let's say Y firm, right, Y desk
Mm-hmm.
is a little bit tighter. I would kind of compare their premiums and their spreads, and then I would then take those premiums and those spreads, compare it with, let's say, Coinbase. That was really what I like to compare it with, or back in the day when BitMEX was doing a lot of volume. That's what I would compare those quotes with. And there's definitely interesting things going on there. Because again, at the end of the day, I would like to think, I could be wrong, but I would like to think that big orders going through OTC are actually what drives the market.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to say I'm 100% correct, right? Because at the end of the day, anything could be right.
Mm-hmm.
But for the most part, that's what I believe. And so what ends up happening is these big orders that are being shopped out within OTC desks, at some point in time, um, they have to be actually sent and routed to some sort of spot slash hot exchange. Um,
Mm-hmm.
at some point in time, unless someone's really taking exposure via OTC, which I don't believe. Someone has to be hedging somewhere, or someone has to be offloading risk somewhere. It'll always go, to spot or derivatives like perps.
Mm-hmm.
So you kind of just want to compare how they're kind of quoting relative to what only retail sees.
Yeah. Yeah. Makes sense. Makes sense. Um, and is there anything else you like keep in mind, or do you like use technical analysis, or? Um,
Yeah, I definitely like to look at charts. I guess the way that I see it
mm-hmm.
sometimes is, uh, for the most part, this price process that we see as, BTC, USD, I see it as a price process. And this price process, right, may be driven mostly by algorithms, which probably is true.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you see you see what they're visually, like, you can visually see with the charts what they're trying to do you know
Mm-hmm.
um I don't know how to describe it without saying too much, but mostly what I'm looking for is, uh and this is what they're looking for, is liquidity. At
Mm-hmm.
the end of the day, if someone's trying to shop a large order, more often than not, they're not going to just hit the book and just see what happens. They're going to be sourcing liquidity, and there's specific algorithms that do that.
Mm-hmm.
Would you call them predatory? I mean, I guess that could be interpreted differently, to
Mm-hmm.
others.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't say it's predatory. I think it's just doing the job that it has to do.
Mm-hmm.
These algorithms might be considered predatory, when people are looking uh, to get their stops run.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know what I can and can't say, but
I mean, the thing is, like, you're an anonymous person, so
yeah, I mean, listen,
like it
I
probably
want to
help.
be honest. I want to help. At the end of the day, I do want to help people kind of
Mm-hmm.
understand it, and
Mm-hmm. But
there's
it's also how markets work, So,
yeah,
um, yeah, it's like where liquidity is, like that's where price will go, and that's the same, with looking at premiums and discounts, like if everybody in the mom is long, like price will shake some longs out before going
correct,
higher, and
correct.
that's like, yeah, it's everybody makes use of it or tries to make use of it, and um, back in the day, it was BitMEX, and they made use of it pretty bad, but that was like pretty predatory,
Yeah, I mean, but look, I'll be honest. That's normal.
Mm-hmm.
All of that's completely normal in legacy.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not spoken. I don't know really
Mm-hmm.
what to say, but that's a normal thing for dealers to do. It
Mm-hmm.
really is. It's not out of the world. All these retail exchanges, that's what they're doing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Unintentionally or intentionally.
Yeah,
That
yeah, yeah.
when they're shopping out these orders to OTC desks, right? I mean, it's really the desks that are doing it. It's not really the
Mm-hmm.
broker's fault. They're just giving the market makers the ability to see flow, and
Mm-hmm.
when you know where flow is going, you can kind of do things with that,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And when you have orders, and this is the scary part. This is, I mean, it kind of gets me a little nervous, after knowing so much, like what these market makers and what these brokers do with your orders. It's actually a
Mm-hmm.
little bit concerning in a sense,
Mm-hmm.
but I kind of don't want to talk about that. But
Mm-hmm.
long story short, I don't like to place stops unless it's going to be like algorithmically, placed where it's where the algo actually sets the stop, not me placing it manually and letting it rest on an exchange. I've never liked that idea
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
because of the things that I know that is happening. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, it's a little scary.
Yeah, yeah. Um, yeah, I mean they're visible. It depends of your size. If you're worth it, yes or no. But I think if somebody had traded, on FTX, they probably know for sure. If you trade with some size in FTX, like you always get front ran. Yeah, it's that's a simple example, but front running on FTX is kind of real, and yeah, that is just a simple example. Normal people can see if they trade with some size, like you cannot get a decent fill, on FTX or something.
Yeah,
But
yeah, that's for sure. Those algorithms definitely. Just so you know, I mean, I don't. You've definitely seen this, but
mm-hmm.
since Goldman's come in, announcing it completely on the CME, like everything's kind of changed. At least for me, there's definitely been like a market regime change where
Mm-hmm.
price action isn't the same. Things have changed completely.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely a lot more. I guess the best way I could describe it, it's disgusting now. It's absolutely disgusting the way that they move price. But it's what they have to do. It's exactly what they have to do
Mm-hmm.
to source liquidity.
Mm-hmm.
Because at the end of the day, it's just a big liquidity game. That's all it is.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, do you have to, like, since when? Like, we're talking about Bitcoin, right?
Yeah, I think they came out with the headline that they're trading it officially, right? Like officially trading it. I think it was around June or something
Mm-hmm.
like that. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say June, July. Something
Oh,
came
okay.
out. I remember some headline came out. The
Mm-hmm.
only reason I really recognized it was I'm primarily trading on the CME
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
exchange,
Mm-hmm.
just BTC and ETH futures. Um, and you can see, I mean, I recognize that the liquidity just grew substantially, volume increased substantially.
Mm-hmm.
The algorithms were being more reactive, because I would say like around May, April, these algorithms on the CME futures, they weren't as reactive. They weren't many takers. They were just making, really. They weren't really taking any of my limits. I would have to take them. But as time passed, they became really aggressive. The spread started to close. Back in the day, there was, I would say, like an $80 spread on CME futures. Now it's maybe like 30, 40, which isn't necessarily that bad because each contract is 5 BTC. So for about $250,000, it's not too bad, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Fuck, there's some real size.
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. So, and what else do you use when deciding what to trade, or is there any other edge you use, or to decide where you place a trade or where you take an
Sure.
opportunity?
I don't know. I don't know what to say or not to say. You know?
Sure.
Like, I don't know how
I mean,
open I should be.
everybody is pretty stupid listening to this, so.
No, there's a lot of smart people. Probably, I don't want to discredit everyone. You know, I think everyone has the potential to really grow and become who they want to become. It's just how badly they want to become that. You know,
Yeah,
like
but
I'm not gonna say necessarily I'm the smartest person. But what I try to do is I try to surround myself with the smartest people. You know, I try to be the dumbest person I can. That's like one of the things that I'll never forget. You know, one of my boss's colleagues, who's a really big name market maker that I cannot disclose. The one thing he told me, he told me back at his old firm, the one thing he said to me was, I always try to be the dumbest person in the room. That's what he told me. And ever since then, like I try to like really resonate with that and kind of apply that within my daily life, as weird as that sounds, you know. I don't want to be surrounded by people that are not as intelligent as I am per se, right? You know, the whole idea is to just, you know, to grow and really understand the market. It really does make a difference when you're surrounded by very intelligible and knowledgeable people.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's like, show me your friends and I'll show you your future, right?
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, totally true, you know. The thing is, what I meant is like, not everybody's listening to this, you know, is being able to use it against, like, for their advantage, you know. Like, nobody can copy your style or copy your ways of trading, for example.
I could describe my whole trading strategy, and no one will be able to actually do it. I completely agree. I mean, that's been said a lot, and I agree with that. I mean, so I'll say this. This is definitely known, and you know, there's nothing really crazy about this, but this is just my bread and butter. I like to trade around certain time zones. I love trading, you know, London Open, London Close. I love trading New York Open, New York Close. I think everything else is kind of not really necessary. If you can catch just one or two decent moves throughout the day, you really don't have to trade chop. So that's kind of like where my trading is transitioned. I'm, you know, more higher time trading. But if I see a nice trade on the short time frame, I'll take it. I'm not, you know, biased to that at all.
Yeah. And what was for you the biggest eye opener in your trading career? Like, was there a moment you like something opened up and you're like, oh wow, this is the stuff I need, you know? Like certain strategy or something you found out.
Yeah. So I guess the best thing I could possibly talk about that might help others, or maybe just have people think, it would have to be that when I first encountered kind of and truly understood algo management systems and liquidity sourcing type algos, it really helped me understand and really like piece together the market in general. Because, you know, primarily in legacy markets, you know, most flow is being done on the open or on the close. Most firms just trade that and they settle depending on the close price. So, you know, there's always like a fight for a certain price. A lot of these algorithms do, you know, help these firms take care of that. And, you know, when I got up close and personal with a lot of, you know, the legacy market's biggest algo management systems, I kind of truly started to understand that it's all about flow, and it's all about, in my opinion, the biggest trades are, it's always time based. It's very time based, because a lot of these algorithms that are running, you feed it certain parameters, right? So if you have, for example, these auction close ones, right, it's going to fill your order, and it's going to chop up your order in a manner by the time that New York closes, your order is complete, right? But you have the decision to choose how aggressive you want that order filled, you know? So to me, to really like understand and like really get close to these, you know, algo management systems and, you know, execution systems, it helped me understand, you know, or it helped me view the market in a way that you wouldn't necessarily see on a normal day or like on a retail type way. Um, so that's why, like, I guess like I pushed the idea that one interesting thing that I like to look at is time, because at the end of the day, right, like if there are a lot of liquidity sourcing type algorithms out there in crypto now for sure now, you know, so it's always good to keep that in mind, you know, like how aggressive like are they closing it at New York, right? How are they opening it after New York, right? After New York closes, because a lot of action happens after close as well, for crypto specifically. I don't really want to get into the reason as to why, or at least to why I think, but it's those are like really interesting things to think about. You know, I would say, you know, I would have people really look into that and, you know, see if they find something.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Good one, good one. Um, and what does a typical day of trading in a prop firm look like? It's just like, what time do you get in the office? Do you work from the office? Do you work from home, or what is? You know,
Yeah,
just
so I
saying.
mean, just to give you a little bit about my life. You know, I was at this prop firm right from 2018, and I left around 2020 due to some personal reasons. Nothing with the company, nothing with anything else. Just literally like I had to deal with some things personally. So I took a step back. Left. Oh wait, did they just break the news that the ETF was approved?
Oh,
I think
now?
they just. Yeah, I think they just did it right
Can you
now.
send me a link?
Yeah, I think it was CoinDesk. Sure, I'll send you a link
Okay, I'm gonna take a scalp. Fuck.
here. It just came out.
Okay, I'm in a little trade. Couldn't.
You couldn't hold back. I
I
feel
couldn't
you. You
help
know,
back.
I don't even blame you. I don't blame you. Do
I gotta
you want
take
to?
it.
Should I just?
No, no, no. I'm just risking a little bit over here.
Got it. I mean, you want me to just pause, or
No,
how do
no,
you want
no.
me to?
We're here, dude. I have like several screens,
Mm.
um,
Okay, so
but
what was I
people
saying? I
don't see
was.
it. Um, I'm always fine with doing a little news event. It's just a small scalp, not risking too much. Um,
What
do
were we
do
discussing? You were asking me. Ah, yes, day to day of
yeah.
prop firm. But yeah, and I just wanted to describe because currently, right. So I left at the first prop desk I joined in 2020. Uh, Joined. I don't want to also describe where where I am or I
Mm-hmm.
was because technically I just finished leaving. But in
Mm-hmm.
2020, I joined an entity,
Mm-hmm.
equities entity, a legacy entity. I
Mm-hmm.
do not want to describe this in any sort of shape or manner. I'd
Sure.
rather keep that private.
Totally. Yeah. Of course.
But I guess the only thing I could say is that it it's really relevant and it's really part of like the whole market in general,
Mm-hmm.
specifically for broker dealers. But I'll just leave it at that. And I'm leaving. I'm actually leaving. You know, literally like now. I'm
Mm-hmm.
literally in speaks with offers and stuff for
Yeah.
a pretty big crypto firm that I also do not want to disclose.
Sure.
They're starting up a prop desk, so they need traders, and yeah, I'm finally going to be back on another big desk, so I'm happy for that. But you know, in general, you know, on a prop desk in general, what you're primarily doing, at least I can describe what mine was in my
Mm-hmm.
first firm.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, my firm, we would try to usually trade New York Open and a little bit of Asia. So we wouldn't get there as early as most legacy shops would come in, which is like 6:30. We'd start up, I'd get there like around maybe like 8, 8:30, get ready for New York Open, and kind of just trade from there. Take a break around noon, 1, and then trade the close again. And then it was day to day, especially at a startup prop firm. There's a lot of hats you have to wear. So, I actually had to help the head of our institutional sales kind of pick up clients at some point. Because the more flow we bring into the company, into the firm, the better. So at the end of the day, like, the more flow you could look for, the better your life is, the easier it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, that was basically that's like the best template I could give you of like a day to day, for a very highly general view.
Okay. And like what is I'm a little bit struggling with it. I don't know if any of the listeners are struggling with it as well, but how do you have a setup, like what does your desk look like? How many screens do you have? How many tabs do you have open, like how does that work?
Yeah, sure.
Like it's a pretty like simple question, but I know, like in our chat, we're sharing a chat group. Anyway, it's a little bit, like everybody's a little bit struggling with it, like how do you set it up? And I'm just curious, how is that at a firm?
Yeah, I mean, so primarily what you're looking at is, you want a good understanding of the market. So getting the books of multiple venues in your face, on your screen, any OTC quotes. That's what you're primarily looking at. When it comes to just filling counterparty orders, you're kind of looking at that primarily just to offload risk. If it's being done manually, if it's being done algorithmically, then the algo kind of takes care of that. So, but yeah, I mean, that's primarily what I was looking at. I would have we had a TV regarding or CNBC live stream, going through as well. It's always important to be looking at the legacy market. But I think that other than the tools that most people don't have retail wise, and the internally built tools, the internally built systems. Primarily the trading and everything else is very similar to most people. Everyone's looking at charts, everyone's looking at time profiles, right? TPOs, things of that nature. I mean, I don't want to like hype it up because it really isn't anything crazy. I would say honestly, the only thing that I guess would be different or more exclusive is just the firms and IP. Their own internally built kind of systems. The quotes that you're receiving, depending on the counterparties that you're dealing with, the OTC quotes that you're receiving, the actionable quotes that you can actually hit these desks for. And I guess, talking to these desks, right? That's really the only thing that stands out to me that's really different than like me trading at home, like right now, right now, I'm not really trading for a desk. I'm going to be, but I'm not really expecting too much different. I mean, again, my setup is basically what I kind of just stated. I'm looking at, primarily like Coinbase, FTX, CME, because I trade there. I have my OMS system right in front of me, with my tape, my book, my trading DOM. I like the aggregated tape Agger. It's a great tool, absolutely great tool that people are very blessed to have, as a publicly sourced type tool. And yes, a few charts, and I always keep an eye on the legacy markets. That's basically my setup, and OTC quotes. Other than that, that's really it.
Yeah. Oh, interesting. And let's say if you were at a shop or at a firm, do they let you trade your own stuff as well? I mean, like with the interview with Salsa, he said like, yeah, they they leave me. Well, anyway, they let me trade my own funds as well there, and that is quite special, So that's why I'm asking.
Got it. Well, yeah. So it's interesting in in crypto markets. There's not much regulation, so to speak. In legacy, that's something you cannot do. I mean, to be fair, even though that I was in this very large entity that kind of is very active and very important within the legacy market. They allowed me to trade futures. They didn't allow me to trade certain equities. I couldn't trade most big names. I could only trade ETFs, and if I had traded ETFs, I have to hold for at least 30 days. My only escape was literally futures. So, legacy wise, there are a lot more restrictions. That's just due to compliance and regulatory concerns, which is completely fair. Crypto, I'm pretty sure all the a few traders that I know and that are different firms and stuff, and even at my old firm, right? They didn't really. That's not really a conversation to really worry about.
Sure. Yeah, no, just an interesting question,
Yeah.
What is? Do you have? Um, so what is something you is there like a type of market where you perform better? Is it trending, chop, or
Yeah. So
sideways? Or
sorry for cutting off. Sorry about that.
no.
Yeah, I do definitely like to trade trending markets more than chop or consolidation type markets. Um, I think necessarily that's because of kind of like everything I kind of just described to you about these, these algorithms, right? Turning on, before the open or after the open or after the close or before the close. I think that's where like my edge has kind of been kind of recognizing when these kind of algorithms kind of turn on, because that's literally what's going on. These liquidity sourcing algorithms, right? The money that's actually pushing and flowing this market to a certain direction. That's primarily just what I'm looking for, and that's why I'm looking at the books. You can literally just see it turn on. I don't know how to describe it better than that. I mean, if you stare at it long enough, you'll just see it. So yeah, my money maker for sure would have to be during trending markets. I would just love to see, let's say like at London close, one of like my bread and butters would just be seeing it open, close per se, close and sweep in a certain direction, and you just fade that. And almost always, it's not always 100% right, but when the conditions are right and when they're met, it's not just off of flow, it's a few other things. But when everything is met on my end of things, on my strategy, I just hit it, and it usually pays pretty well. I really like London close a lot more than anything, I would say.
And we were talking about psychological tricks, just before we started recording this, basically. Was that basically for trading your like private stuff, or was that at your job? Do you want to talk about that, or?
What is your question
Well,
pertaining to?
you messed up a little trade and you missed a move, let's say,
Uh,
the last few
uh,
days.
I'm trying to recall what we were talking about when I said that. When did I say that? Can you give me
Just
more
before
context? Sorry.
just before we started recording, basically about risk
Got it.
management, like
Yes.
risk management.
Yes.
I didn't want to like say
Yes.
it out loud, like without
Yeah.
you.
No. No worries. Yeah. That's for my personal trading. I could talk about that if you want.
Okay, yeah.
I have no problem talking about that. I think,
Yeah.
um, if you're not transparent with yourself or with others, then you're not gonna be transparent with yourself. You know what I mean? I think it's pretty important
Yeah.
to not be afraid of that. But I mean, I don't see it as much of a big deal.
Oh
I think
no. But I
most
mean,
traders
yeah.
should think about this. They should be doing this. You should be telling your close friends or your trading friends, right? What exactly is going on, because if you're not honest with them, right, who's to say you're not honest with yourself?
I mean,
that's the most important thing.
I mean, if you're on Twitter, crypto Twitter
Yeah.
is full of LARPs. We call them
Got
LARPs,
it.
and they're
I'm not too familiar with that side of things.
that's why I'm saying, like there are just some young guys who are like basically hitting every trade right, and it's not always right, or
Yeah,
like right
I
is
actually know
is a lot
of
of
what
people
you're
really
referring
good.
to. I think because there's one guy, not one guy, but I do kind of lurk on Twitter sometimes here and there when I have some free time. But there are some people that don't they just like take like a $1 position, like a leveraged $1 position, and just show like the ROE on
Yeah,
their
yeah, yeah,
positions.
yeah. Or they can. I don't like. I'm too much of a of a noob, But like they can change the numbers in there really
Oh
quickly,
yeah,
in the
the
code, and
inspect
then like
element.
make it look
Yeah.
like, yeah. So yeah, that's basically um, what they do. What happens, or it happens quite a bit. And the thing is, like, it works. If you want to be an influencer,
Mm.
it's just some other version of like. A TikTok investor, or like
Yeah, it's a
an
business.
Instagram. Yeah, it's a business, or like an Instagram. Yeah, you see a 20-year-old guy sitting in a Lambo. You want to learn to day trade as well, and drink mojitos at the beach. No, but I mean
uh,
that's basically it. So that's kind of funny.
yeah,
But
but if you
like,
want, yeah, we can. You want me to get back into that conversation of just
no,
what
I mean,
happened? I could.
yeah, yeah. I mean, like, or how do you like correct yourself after you made a mistake? What do you
Sure.
do? Like sometimes, like as a trader, you mess up, but how do you handle it? Like, how do you, like, what do you do after, or like, yeah.
Yeah, sure. So I guess to start off, I actually do want to reference one person because there are a few traders that I do follow that I actually
Mhm.
I respect.
Mhm.
Salsa Tequila being one of them. I
Mhm.
followed him way before he really blew up.
Mhm.
Saw the ups, the highs, and the lows. Because
Mhm.
he would trade a lot, and I respected that. I did respect that.
Mhm.
And one lesson that I resonated with him when he tweeted one day was, most big losses. I kind of discussed this, I think, with you, yeah,
Mhm.
prior to this conversation. Most big losses come right after a few, losing trades, almost always. I mean,
Mhm.
at least for me, and I
Mhm.
guess at least for Salsa. Um, so I think it again, like that's why I kind of really pointed out that mental awareness or your mind state, as you're trading is extremely important because if you're not aware of it, or if you're having a bad day, right? Let's say you're going
Mhm.
through shit. Let's say
Mhm.
you didn't work out. Let's say you don't have like that clear mindset that you need.
Mhm.
Um, you might not catch that you're actually wrong. You're not reading the market correctly, and you should
Mhm.
step back for a second.
Mhm.
I think when you do mess up, the most important thing to do is either size down completely or just sit back. Like I
Mhm.
prefer kind of sitting back. It makes me feel uh I feel like it makes me feel in control because if I trade smaller size, I'm still wrong. That's not gonna help me. I'm just gonna get more tilted. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And tilt is a real thing, and that's kind of, at least for me personally, like what I try to keep in mind
Mhm.
and to always be aware of. So definitely just like stepping back from these days where you don't trade correctly because at the end of the day, it might just be a small blip. It might just be
Mhm.
like one day where you trade bad, right?
Mhm.
And then the rest of the week you're trading amazing.
Mhm.
Or it could just be a really horrible week, in general.
Mhm.
Like, but your job, I think, as a person who's managing a lot of risk every single day, every single moment, is to just consistently keep yourself in check. Either by, let's say, having some sort of a process where you can see, okay, if I lose 2 days in a row, maybe I should stop trading for a week or two. Really, reflect on my trades, see what I did wrong, and kind of move from there. Everyone's different. Everyone, especially as you grow as a trader, I think you start doing that a little bit more, if anything, because you just start really striving for perfection. And what ends up happening is that you actually naturally stop doing that less and less, unless like the market, I mean, truly changes and you just have a bad read on it. But
Mhm.
um, for the most part, you're always constantly keeping up with this ever changing market, because
Mhm.
the flow will always keep changing. And your job is just to recognize that you won't always be right, and sometimes you have to step back and really just reflect as to what's going on. Maybe you have to change your strategy, right?
Yeah.
Maybe, during a volatile day, instead of having a stop out like 80 bips, 90 bips out, maybe you need a 2-3% stop. It really depends on your entries too. So I think overall, risk management is one of the things that most people kind of overlook,
Yeah.
that you know shouldn't be overlooked. It should be their primary focus. And I think trading comes, the risk management is what's more difficult for average people to grasp, I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah. Yeah. I totally agree. That's where the majority messes up, and that's like I don't mess up on a good day. I mess up on a bad day, and that's like yeah, that's that's really where winning comes from. Like how to get out of a bad trade. Um, and it's such a hard thing to do. Basically, like some simple tricks, like you said, like stay out for a little bit, wait till a clear mind, Um, yeah, that's everything. Like a championship is won on a bad day, not on a good
Correct. Yeah,
day.
and it really it really shows a lot about your character. I think trading is like the greatest job in the world. It really shows you a lot about yourself. There's not really many jobs that like allow you to see your true self, because your true actions, they really speak, right? When you lose, what do you end up doing? There's some people who will trade until their balance goes to zero. There's people that will step back. There's people that will just revenge trade, right? So there's like, you really learn about how your mind works, specifically yours, because everyone's different. Everyone will manage and deal with stress differently. And it's just about controlling your emotions, really, at the end of the day. That's like the core of it all. That's why specifically I like to go to the gym and meditate, and go to the sauna, really de-stress, and kind of like allow myself to give myself that time to really just be with myself and be aware of my thoughts. And it kind of just bleeds into your trading, I think.
Yeah, totally agree. Um, just managing position a little bit over here.
No worries. Yeah, man. I
Um,
mean, it sucks. Like, I want to trade this, but I told myself I won't. I knew it was gonna pop too. It sucks. I think I wrote
yeah,
in the chat that we're in, but I need
yeah,
to do this. It's better for myself that I do this
yeah,
now.
yeah. I
You
mean,
know.
like this is basically I tweeted this. Like you can see me here. I just before the last pop up. If you click on it, like you
Yeah, I
can
see
see
it.
like 1 hour ago, just
Mm-hmm.
before this last pop up, while we were making the video. Yeah, it just went then.
Yeah, man.
But I closed it out just because like at one point it will stop, or it will stop, like the reversal will come. The question is when. Um,
All right. So I'll be honest, I guess, regarding just like current price action.
sure.
To be honest, I really don't see it going much lower. I think maybe there'll be a reversal soon. I agree. I mean, usually what happens when we test highs, we usually kind of test it, retrace a decent percentage. But overall, man, this market's looking very hot, especially with these ETFs. They're
Yeah, yeah. I mean, exactly the ETFs and a touch of the well, we're really close to the all-time high. The thing is, what I saw at one point, I will draw it out real quick for you guys to see as well. Let me check. It did feel a little bit for me like need to send a little screenshot to Delta as well, since we're not on screen share. Like over here, um, over here we touched the previous all-time high at 20K basically. That was yeah, right over here. I don't draw it
Was it back
nicely.
in 2020?
That was back in 2020, and it's like end of November or beginning of December when that happened. And everything looked kind of good. and we were just touching all-time high.
Oh yeah, I'm looking at what you're looking at now.
Yeah.
I agree. I agree with that picture completely.
And
Completely.
it messed everybody up. And 2 days later, basically we were at all-time high again, and then another dip. The thing is, like, it's right now. We're almost at price discovery, and if you see open interests, for example, rise on Binance, I'll show you the chart as well. It's like,
No, listen. I mean, at the end of the day, right? What I see when I see things like that, that chop right before that real big move, that's all liquidity sourcing. You could see it at a daily, you could see it at a lower time frame, whatever time frame you want. That's what's happening. It just depends on how big these positions are in general. I think that's my view of the market in general. Because at the end of the day, right, what really drives price up, right? It's flow. It's how much money is going in and out, and what direction. But it's just it's really what keeps it's basically what really structures the way I view the market. Like I said, I mean, I don't want to sound like I don't want to just keep saying and reiterating the same thing, but I think it's really important that people understand that order flow in general, and watching how these algos are kind of like moving price, because that's exactly what's going on. I think that's something to just keep in mind when you're trading, just watching the flow.
Yeah, I feel you. Did we forget anything we should have talked about?
I guess morning routine.
Yeah, morning routine. Is there a certain morning routine you do? Is there, like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I worked as an engineer, and in certain places, you have basically a morning meeting, like shooting the shit, right? Like, what's your plan today? Yeah, I'm gonna do this, and do you guys have something like that, or like just brainstorm sessions in the morning?
Yeah, no, that definitely happens on a prop level for sure. I think though, just because I want people to kind of like, because I could talk about that. I don't know if that's interesting. I really don't think that's interesting. I think what's more interesting is helping people understand, because that's the type of person I am. I never I don't want to say I know a lot, but I definitely want to help people understand things differently. Like I that's why I'm here, and that's why I've joined, all these Discord groups in general and stuff like that. I like to first just socialize with other traders, but also, give edge when I can, help people see things the way I see it, or maybe they'll help me see things the way I don't see it, But I think one thing I would just like to send out to whoever's listening, when it comes to morning routines, I think people should have some sort of structure in their life, before you enter a trade, right? Like, I think it's very important to go to the gym. I think it's very important to meditate. I think it's very important to journal. Journaling is something that I initially didn't really do, but the more you do it, the more you kind of, again, you start learning about the way you think, especially like when you're trading. If you can like write down notes as you're trading, I think that's what's going to make you really stand out, really understand how your mind works, how you're interpreting flow, right? So when you go back, because I record my screens, so after my day is done, I can go back, I can see what I was seeing, I can see what I was thinking, see where I was thinking incorrectly, and moving forward, I can then make the corrections needed, the adjustments needed. So the next time that algo turns on, right, that same exact liquidity algo turns on, because they're very similar. There's certain patterns, and we all see it. There's certain patterns that are made during certain opens, certain closes, things of that nature. You just got to recognize them and learn how to trade them, really, how to spot them before it happens. And so I think that's extremely important. Like, waking up, early before you even want to make a trade, right? If you're going to make a trade at 7 a.m., I think you waking up at 5 a.m., 5:30 a.m. is what makes you, be great, be successful. I really do believe that.
Yeah, I can see that happen.
I mean, listen, if you want me to talk about
no.
I can. I just think that it's not as crazy. I'm trying to give people trying to send you and whoever's listening the information I think is important. I don't think that yes, there are meetings that, we would have at the desk, strategy wise, going over
Mm-hmm.
what happened yesterday, what's going over what's going to happen today, what we think is going to happen today, things of that nature. And it's very productive and it's very important, especially at a startup, team is
Mm-hmm.
small.
Mm-hmm.
You want to know about like what counterparties you're dealing with, where the flow, what kind of flow you're going to be receiving, things of that nature. It's great stuff. And, shooting the shit with other traders, collaborating with traders, trying to, create certain, uh, you know, liquidity type tools or algorithms, things of that nature. It's cool. I think it's beautiful. But I think at the end of the day, right, not everyone's going to see that. But what's important there, at least that I would like to send a message for, is just, structure your day,
Mm-hmm.
structure your routine. Have, even though you're not a prop desk, that's fine. But to start, I would recommend, structuring your day, structuring
Mm-hmm.
how you trade,
Mm-hmm.
how you see the market, and always reevaluate the way your strategies are. Don't ever think that you'll always be right, because you won't.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Totally agree. Totally agree. And if anybody doesn't, like you'll learn it the hard way.
Yep.
Right. But yeah, totally agree. Um, yeah. I mean, yeah. What else is there to say? Like I totally agree. A healthy lifestyle, good rhythm, all important. For that mental mindset. Because we all know how it is to be in a bad trade, um, and how to act accordingly. Um, I'm just thinking, like, do we have any other? Um, yeah, like if you trade like privately, like what do you do? Like, do you chase orders or do you chase, or do you like ram a market order in it, or is there any preference?
Yeah, I definitely have a preference. I prefer entering with a market order, or
Okay.
just taking the ask or taking the bid.
Mm-hmm.
I try to take the bid and take the ask. I don't like sending out market orders. Also, that's also like a little pet peeve of mine, because yeah, at any moment, right, you click market buy, but in that instantaneous moment, all liquidity pulls, right,
Mm-hmm.
and you're trading with size, you're gonna slip very hard.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I like to just take the ask or take the bid,
Mm-hmm.
when I enter, and when I exit, most often than not, I limit, unless I have like a stop and profit. That's
Mm-hmm.
usually the way that I kind of do my things. But I do limit chase a little bit. But I would just have like a algo type order do that for me, because I'm way too lazy to do that myself. I mean, manually you can't really do it the way that an algo does it.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
these limit trailing or limit chasing type bids or asks, they really do the job.
Mm-hmm. So one trick, like for viewers or something, they probably maybe not trading the size Delta does, but if you do want to do a market order and hates a little catching a little slip as well, you can turn off post only and stuff like that, and just do a limit order and just type in the price until where you want to buy, or click in the
Mm-hmm.
order book. Then on most exchanges, if you click in the order book on a certain price, it will be a limit order, but executed market, and until there it will buy into the book. So it's like not catching that mega slippage, because we probably all had it a little bit. Um, that is a good one. Do you play any options?
I I did, and I do, but not in crypto, unfortunately.
Okay.
I'm based in the U.S., so
Mm-hmm.
my reach when it comes to options, not as far as I want them to be. I did play with them while I was in my initial, prop desk,
Mm-hmm.
market making desk. That's when I first touched them in crypto. But I've traded options for, I would say, like 4 years now.
Mm-hmm.
So even I don't want to say five, but 4 to 5
Mm-hmm.
in legacy markets. Nothing too intense, just basic vanilla type strategies within options. So covered calls, just calls, puts, straddles, strangles.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing too crazy. Maybe a few call spreads or something like that, but nothing too out of this world. But options are great. I would recommend, if people have time, to just really look into that. It'll really elevate your way of thinking, I think. And primarily, options order flow is also something I didn't really touch on that. I don't know why, but options order flow is something also really interesting, an interesting thing to keep a look at. Because a lot of firms, if they're not offloading risk or hitting spot, when it comes to offloading risk, they're going to be doing it with options or futures. So keeping those things in mind and just keep being aware of like the flow in that end of things is also just as important. Very, very important. A lot of these firms that once you get to a large firm, a large size, you're not really looking to, I guess, take too much directional exposure. You're more so just taking risk neutral approaches, hedging collateral, looking for yield appreciation type strategies. You're not really taking too much direction unless it's like purely prop. That's it. Just really depends on the risk parameters set for that fund or firm.
Yeah. We're nearing like 1 hour and 5 minutes of our conversation.
Oh, wow. It's been an hour. Holy
shit.
Yeah.
It's been an hour already. Like, no, if there's anything else, or anything else, no, we can keep going, but it's gonna be a long one. Is there like something shooting into your mind?
I have one last thing. It's just
Sure.
I see it on my screen. I just have to just really bring this up because it's just cool just to talk about certain experiences like this. My PTSD that I have from crypto. I think there was one moment where that really changed my life. Literally like changed my life because I haven't seen anything like that before. I think it was around May 2020, I believe.
Let's go to the chart.
I believe it was May 2020.
May or March?
May. It was after the dump. If I could recall correctly, it was around, the price was around like $9,000.
Yeah.
Is that pretty accurate?
I'm not looking at a chart. We topped at 10K basically in May, and then dropped. Yes, down
I remember it. It was
May
10th. That was the day. That was the day that I can't really forget. It was a very, I don't know if you traded that move, but I remember it correctly. I was short. I was in a great short, I think from like 9,700, 97 something, 97 and change. And I expected it to come down. I really did. And I kept my short at the open, kept it going, and it started to dramatically drop. And I haven't seen it fall this fast. It was a Saturday or it was a Sunday. So, there is a lot less liquidity on the weekends. I don't like trading weekends anymore because of this moment. It dropped to like 9K. I was in so much profit, closed it, decided to reverse, go long. And as you can see, I think I went long like at 8,900, something like that. And I took a pretty fat loss. I got out like at 84, 85.
Oh, yeah.
But that was the fastest move I've ever seen in BTC ever. I think that was fifth, other than March, of course. That was its own little thing.
Yeah.
That was the fastest move. I think it was about 15%. Like that whole move happened within under 20 minutes. I would say like within 14 minutes almost, like 15 minutes. Like it was a very violent move that day. I can never forget that because it really showed me that anything can really happen and you should always be ready for anything to happen. So ever since then, like I don't really have, I don't really ever think twice ever again with BTC ever.
Yeah,
that's all I really wanted to share.
Yeah, I mean it is true, like this market does sometimes do something to you, and yeah, I mean it's a great experience. You learn a lot from it, and yeah, you will think twice, and risk management, saving your ass as well.
Yep.
Yeah. So, yeah. And yeah, that's basically all I got to say. Yeah. Did you end it with a loss or?
Oh yeah, no, for sure. That was rough. That was a rough trade for me.
Mm-hmm.
That I sat back for about like a week or two. I didn't
Mm-hmm.
trade.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want to trade after that.
Yeah.
I did not want to trade after that experience. I mean, like I thought I was, I was good. I was
Mm-hmm.
shorting. I caught the move. I caught about 7-8%. I really didn't think, on average, we usually mean revert around that kind of move. We don't really just keep going in the fashion that I saw. The issue, I guess, in my head was that, initially I thought, okay, 9% down, 8% down, that's okay. 7% down, that's still great.
Mm-hmm.
I think that we would mean revert, around these levels.
Mm-hmm.
That was the way I was processing the information.
Mm-hmm.
And the issue was that 15% in general isn't bad if it's spread out within like 5 hours, because that means there are these, bounces, there are these reversions.
Mm-hmm.
But in that moment, there was no bounce. There was no bounce.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
the biggest bounce, I'll never forget it. The biggest bounce that I saw was about maybe like $80, which is absolutely nothing. Like
No.
$70, which is, so
Yeah.
to me that really, uh, you know, showed me the brevity of liquidity.
Mm-hmm.
That's just really what it was. There was a lot
Mm-hmm.
less liquidity on that day than any other day.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's this market makes you a fast learner,
It sure does.
uh, risk-wise. What is
Yeah,
date is
that's
this?
exactly why I don't trade weekends anymore. I just
Yeah.
prefer, it's just not worth the risk. And statistically, I don't perform well on weekends, I guess, because of those kinds of outliers,
Mm-hmm.
due to the illiquidity.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, maybe things have changed, so maybe I'll take a step back and maybe on a Sunday. I mean, I do trade Sunday nights, which is basically the CME Open.
Yeah. Yeah.
But Saturdays, I'm far away from from anything.
Yeah. I mean, the ES1 futures, like, yeah, I try to catch him as well. If I have the opportunity and if I see something I like, I definitely catch a trade. On those days, it's too easy basically,
Hmm.
or too easy. It's never too easy, but um, feels like great risk reward all the time.
Agreed.
Um,
But
yeah.
yeah,
Anything else we should have talked about?
I think that's it. I think we kind of. I mean, I don't want to just keep going because I feel like
No,
I don't know, like if this is like a high quality or if I'm just rambling
I don't
type,
know. Me neither.
discussion.
Me neither. I just had a very rough week as well. Like trading this stuff. Has been. I
No,
think
of
I've had the
course.
best week ever. The thing is, sleep didn't have. Like my sleep schedule didn't have the best week ever. So I'm not being the healthy guy you advise me to be. But no, it's just rough.
No, of
Um,
course. But yeah, I think that covered more than enough, I think.
yeah, and
Uh,
I mean, it's your first time for an interview, and I'm just very bad at it. So yeah, there's that. Yeah. So yeah, let's keep it at that. Thank you, Delta. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your insights, guys. Delta has Twitter. You see in the screen, his Twitter account right now. I will put it in the video description as well. I hope he will post some tweets, share some alpha
yeah,
over
I
there.
mean, yeah, to give some insight, because I just made that Twitter, or
Mm-hmm.
planning to just starting to use it. Planning to definitely post not just I guess my thoughts on the market or my trades. I kind of want to, possibly do some streams and see if I could just help people, because honestly, in life, like if you're not helping people, like it's not really as fulfilling as as it may seem. So I mean,
Yeah,
I might just make some streams and see if I can help people out, just like answer questions and shoot the shit.
exactly. Trading can be lonely, and it's fun to interact with people, and that's especially what I need, and miss interacting with other people, um, of being a trader. Um, and yeah, it's just like you said, helping. I'm not helping anybody. probably costing them money.
You're helping a lot of people with these talks.
I
I
hope
listen
so.
to almost all of them, and
Oh, that's cool.
they really do provide insight, for
Mm-hmm.
people who don't really who maybe are just joining, just trading, just starting to trade.
Yeah, and,
So
and the thing is, like, we're getting a more realistic view of what it is like to be a trader, or
yeah, not the LARPs.
I mean, not a TikTok trader, or like a 15-year-old who makes I don't know, like some YouTube influencer had an interview with a 10-year-old not so long ago about how he made $500,000. I'm like, this is not even legal, guys. Like, come on, this is not. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
that makes everybody who works a normal job feel bad. Right? I'm gonna sign up right now. No, but I mean, it's fun. It was a lot of fun, guys. Like I said, Delta, really, guy knows a lot. Make sure to follow him, and make sure to learn something. Thank you for your time. And anything else you had to say, Delta?
No, other than thank you again for even considering to just have a discussion with me. I mean, you're a cool
Sure,
guy.
man.
We've spoken plenty of times out of this conversation. Outside of this conversation. So I honestly would say, I hope people support you, and I hope you get the spotlight that you deserve.
Oh,
Because
thanks.
you're doing a lot. You don't. It doesn't seem like you are, but from an outside perspective, what you're doing is you're really helping people. You really are. So
I hope I am.
You're not being selfish like the way you're perceiving yourself. You're doing a lot. So thank you.
Thanks, man. Thanks. Okay, I'll cut it off. Guys, make sure to subscribe, follow Delta, and see you guys again tomorrow.